Just for us to get an idea, I mean, especially this topic of equity and especially equity leadership, where everything, the school starts with the person on the top, right? And then how you kind of get whatever that focus and vision that the administrator has. But I wanted to kind of ask Adam, like, you have vast amount of experience, but what kind of got you to a point that you felt like, hey, you needed to write this book for fellow educators and leaders throughout the United States and abroad?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that has been a through line in my career and a lot of people I talk to is like beginning a job is tough, right? Like, well, I remember being that first year teacher, right? And you get handed the keys in a classroom full of somebody else's stuff and said to jump into it. As a principal back in the day, it was, handed the keys, maybe got an hour with the person who was there before, they gave you some information. And we've moved a little bit since there in the 20 years that I've been working, but like you still talk to people and there's some great entry processes now around that are trying to help people think about like, how do we start a little bit better? But what I have found, and when I talk to people is that, it's really great. They're talking more about listening. They're talking more about trying to have learning more about the process. But so much of these structures that we're putting in place to mentor people are actually more helping and oftentimes can help people replicate the system that's in place as opposed to really think about what is it that needs to be true within a community? How do we actually recenter where power is within the community? And so for me, I was starting to have these conversations and the two colleagues that I wrote the book with both, were in Chicago Public Schools starting about the same time as me. And we reconnected again, kind of like me and Habib here at Harvard, and we're working together. I was getting my doctorate, and this opportunity to really dig into like what's actually going on when people start work. How could we do this differently? So one, they stay in the job because we know people are leaving these roles really quickly, and then how can they do it differently? So that not only do they not burn out, but maybe we actually change what happens in schools and makes them work for all kids. So for me, that was really the heart of it, is like having these deep experience of knowing starting is tough, not knowing exactly what to do. And even when I did all the right things, there was still something missing, right? Like voices were being left behind. Positions weren't fully being heard. So that's kind of where we both started, and we were sharing these stories, and we all had similar ones. We're like, there's something here. There's a story to be told. There's supports that we can put in place for leaders.